Motion is a production-grade animation library for the web. It works with React, with Vue, but also with just JavaScript. It's free and open source, easy to start and fun to master. Let's dive in. Motion is all about performance without compromising on capabilities. What makes it unique is the hybrid engine that combines the performance of the browser with the limitless potential of a JavaScript engine. You can animate anything with Motion: HTML, CSS, SVG path, even WebGL, all from a single consistent API. Motion has a very small footprint too. There's even a mini version of the animate function that's just 2.3 kilobytes. A hybrid engine, you say? Yeah, okay, so the browser has a built-in animation layer called the Web Animation API, or WAPI, and it's super performant. It runs on the GPU of the main thread, but it's somewhat limited. No Spring physics, no complex sequencing, limited SVG support. And so this is where Motion kicks in with its own, more capable animation engine. But the really cool thing is whatever it can hand off to the WAPI, it does. So you get the native browser performance wherever possible without even having to think about it. Alright, enough talking. Let's animate. Alright, so I've got this box here, and let's say that we want to animate it. You can see it's a div with a class of box, and in my HTML I'm referencing a JavaScript or TypeScript file here. And here's what's in this file for now: crickets. So let's say I want to take that box and move it to the right by 300 pixels when the page loads. Well, Motion makes this laughably easy. So I'm going to import the animate function from Motion. And straight away, I will call the animate function. And the first argument it's going to want is what element we want to animate. Here, this is the box with the class of box.box. And then I can specify what sort of animation I want to do. So I want to translate on the x-axis by 300 pixels, but Motion has a convenient x shorthand for this, and I can go 300 for 300 pixels. That's it. You can see it animated a little bit too much and out of the frame. So let's maybe change that to 150. And now we have, every time the page loads, a nice animation. Pretty simple, right? And notice that it has this nice, bouncy, springy easing that we did not have to specify. We'll talk a lot more about that later. All right, let's add some rotation. So rotate 360. And now our box is going to spin wobble into its final destination. Pretty nice. Now, you might take this for granted, but translate X and rotate are two transform properties, and here we're animating them independently. We didn't have to specify both of them together in the transform CSS property. That's pretty cool. Okay, I like this animation, but it's maybe going a little bit too fast for us to understand what's happening. So let's pass a third argument, which is an options object, to our animate function. And here I'll set the duration to 1 second. Aha, interesting. Yes, the animation runs slower, but if you look at it one more time, it looks like we've lost our springy, bouncy effect. And we kind of did. By default, Motion is going to apply a spring transition to an animation, but here we set a duration, and so it flips back to a tween instead. If I get rid of the duration, we have the spring effect again, which would be the equivalent of having type, and you can see here spring. Although when we opt in a spring, you will see that it behaves a little bit differently. Now I can tap into a whole world of cool spring physics. For example, I can set the bounce to be very sloppy with 0.2, or make it extremely springy with something like 0.9. Come on, how cool is that? And we're only scratching the surface of Motion here. There's so much more to discover. We'll take a look at gestures, scroll animations, which I personally love. What about layout animations that almost feel like magic? There's a lot to love and a lot to learn about Motion, and I think you're in for a treat.